You can lie down for your Soma scan. So if you have glasses on, you can put them aside. All these little sensations, extra sensations coming in, we don't need those. So we begin every class by just coming to feel grounded, settled, completely present. And our focus of our class today is going to be really the hips and the legs as they relate to the center of the body. So you might have heard me talking about the legs. You know, we think about the legs as starting from the hip joint, but really functionally, they start really at the waistline area, the somatic center. So we're going to release tension in the legs and the hips by starting with the center of the body and then exploring going down towards feet. But for now, if you could just feel the weight of your head on the floor, and maybe just do a little gentle rocking side to side, just to get a sense of the position of your head as you come to let your head rest in center. Does it come naturally to the center, or does it feel like your head is wanting to tip to the left or to the right? And then nod your chin towards your chest, keeping your head resting on the floor, just that gentle nodding up and down. And does it feel more familiar, easier for you to tuck your chin down towards your chest or lift your chin up towards the ceiling? Where does it feel like your head would naturally want to rest? And then just check to see the position of your forehead, the front of your forehead, compared to the front of your chin. Are they at the same level, or is your chin jutting up higher than your forehead? If it is, please do fold your blanket or have some little bit of support under your head, so your head's more in a neutral position. Another way to check for a neutral position is you can bring your fingers to the outside corners of your eyes, and then let us say the middle finger towards the outside corner of the eyes, the index finger to the front of your ear. And is that line perpendicular to the floor? This is an old X-ray technologist technique to bring the head into a neutral position. So you learn something every day that you may not ever use again. But should you be called upon to do some skull X-rays, you'll know what to do from there. So then feel your shoulder blades and really let them feel heavily imprinted into the floor, and allow your arms to relax. If your hands are resting palm down, can you just try to bring your hands to a neutral, standing on the pinky finger side of the hand and letting the palms spill open. This really helps to bring the shoulder blades more into contact with the floor. It gives us that sense of extra stability through the shoulder girdle. And then follow down the length of your spine. It's a nice curvy route all the way down from the base of your head through your thoracic and lumbar region to your sacral region of the pelvis and to the tailbone. It's just a beautiful wave-like shape. And what's the amplitude of your curves like? Do you feel like they're deep curves or flatter? Can you get a sense from the inside? And then feel your pelvis resting on the floor and the sacrum. And do you feel like your pelvis is level side to side? Does it feel like one side is sinking down into the floor more deeply than the other side? So have that internal impression. Just bring your fingers now to the front of your pelvis and check to see whether the internal feeling matches what the situation is. Is the pelvis level, or is it sinking down on one side as compared to the other? And then feel your legs and feel them. Do they feel nice and heavy? Does one leg feel heavier than the other side? So get an overall impression of how you feel within your soma. So your soma being yourself as you experience it from the inside. Your physical body, how does it feel right now? Feel light, heavy, sleepy, energized? Kind of adjectives come up to you, just as an observer, no judgment. And then bring the awareness to one leg, and with your hands resting on the front of your pelvis, pinky toes slide 1 foot up at a time. So pause after you do the first one, and then you can do the other one. And when you did your pinky toes slide to stand your feet both on the floor, was your pelvis assisting, or was your leg able to move independently of the pelvis to bring the leg up to standing? Was your pelvis swaying to the right and to the left as you were moving your legs? So let's do that again. Sweep the legs down. And I'd like you now to do the same thing, but keep your pelvis really quiet and see if it is a different experience for you. The hips can be an area for many of us, most of us, that can hold a lot of tension. And especially if you tend to spend a lot of your days sitting, and with this recent history, I do think that we tend to have gotten out and around a little bit less. So how do your hips feel now? So your hips are meant to have quite a generous range of motion. It's a ball and socket joint that really sits deeply into the cup of the ilium bone, one of the pelvic bones. But if there's muscular constraint around the joint, the leg is not going to be able to have a full range of motion unless the pelvis becomes involved. So your brain is always going to try to give you as much functionality as possible, and it will call on some of the neighboring structures to help out, to give you that full functionality. And over time, those neighboring structures can get pretty cranky. So if your whole pelvis is helping to move your leg in this external rotation shape direction, over time it can put quite a lot of strain on your sacroiliac joints, and you may experience sciatica. So come to stand your feet on the floor, and we'll bring the hands now to rest on the lower belly. The elbows resting on the floor. And we'll just take a little bit of a breathing exercise here. So abdominal breathing, diaphragmatic breathing. We breathe in through the nose and allow the belly to relax and become expansive under the hands. And then on the exhalation, the belly drops and draws in very gently towards the spine. So inhaling and relaxing the belly. It's like you're inflating a balloon inside the lower belly. And then on the exhalation, the very end of the exhalation is just a gentle contraction inwards. So you're using your breath. Just continue on with your own pace. Let each breath be a refinement on the one before, so that each breath becomes easier than the one that came before. And we're now assisting in the breathing process by allowing the extra space within the chest, within the torso, by releasing muscular tension in the belly and allowing the lungs to be drawn further down. And then on the exhalation, the belly muscles are helping to extend the exhalation a little more. So I'd like you to do about 5 more cycles of breath using this diaphragmatic breathing, but with a square configuration. So for a count of 4, I'm going to inhale, pause for 4, exhale for a count of 4, and then pause for 4. If that seems too long, you can make it 3, or you can make it 5. But in your mind's eye, just really trace the square shape. And again, each cycle becomes a little easier, a little more natural feeling than the one before. Focus on this type of breathing really tends to be towards the front of the body, but as you continue with this square breathing, can you deep dive your awareness down to your lumbar spine at the waistline level, your somatic center? And as you inhale and fully release the belly, can you sense a slight arching of the spine? And then as you exhale and contract your belly inwards, can you feel that there's a gentle flattening of the spine? So this practice of arch and flatten that we do as part of every single somatic, panosomatics practice is really a natural movement that happens when we breathe fully and deeply. Because of the muscular connections between the lumbar spine and the diaphragm. So it's good just to take some time every day for a little diaphragmatic breathing. It has so many benefits. And the square breathing is a really balancing type of breath. So now continue to breathe in this way, but bring your hands to the somatic center, level the waistline, so your fingers span towards the front of your torso and the thumbs towards the back. So you're kind of hooked around your waistline. We'll do that square breathing, but we'll exaggerate the spinal movements. So we're going to inhale and expand the belly and gently arch the low back a little more away from the floor. And as you're ready to exhale, allow your low back to relax and draw the belly in towards the spine and flatten the low back gently into the floor. And still see if you can use your square breathing. Breathing in, expanding the belly, arching the low back within your comfort zone, away from the floor. And then exhaling, drawing the belly in at the end of the exhalation and allowing the low back to flatten. So a lot of details to attend to, but can you just with each repetition let go of some necessity to focus on the technique and allow yourself to be more fully into the experience of this type of breathing. And is the length of your spine so relaxed that you're finding that your head is just coming along for the ride, and there's a gentle nodding motion of your head. You arch the low back away from the floor, the chin moves towards the chest, and as you flatten the low back, the chin nods upwards. It's a wave-like action at the length of your spine. Just a couple more of these undulations, and see if you can maybe not be able to sense the full wave, but you can feel the implications, the energetic implications of this movement. And if you think about it, this is our spinal cord, our spinal canal, with all the nerves that come out from the spinal cord to feed the body, take in sensation and transmit information. So it's important for all of those little spaces where the nerves come out through the bones to be patent and unobstructed, and for the tissues to be hydrated. So I can't say enough about the arch and flatten. So then allow yourself to come to a slow release of this particular movement. Take your arms out to the sides and sweep the arms, palms up. So sweep the arms up along the floor, up alongside the ears. Reach out through the fingertips, arch the low back as though you're just waking up in the morning. And then exhale, sweep the arms down along the floor and flatten the low back into the floor. Spin the back of your hands around to face the outside of your hips. And then gently press the backs of your hands into your hips as you flatten your low back into the floor. Complicated. Within your comfort zone, inhale, sweep the arms up, palm up, just to a point that feels comfortable on the floor. Arch your low back away from the floor. Exhale and sweep the arms down. Spin the arms around so the backs of the hands press gently into the floor as you flatten your low back. And as you sweep your arms up, allow your arms to rest fully on the floor. It's not about getting your arms up high. It's feeling that the arm sweep is connected to this arching, and then the exhale, the flattening. There's this emphasis of the arms really hugging into your center energetically. Let the arms be fully supported by the floor, even if you just go up to T position. It's not how high you fly. And then the next time your arms are down along your sides and pressing in towards your sides, squeeze in a little more firmly, squeeze the knees in and relax and completely let everything go. Let's take the arms up to behind the head. We'll just do a few arch and curl movements to release any tension through the upper spine and around the diaphragm region. So let the elbows fall open. Inhale and gently arch the low back away from the floor. On the exhalation, draw the belly in, flatten the low back. Elbows draw in towards one another and curl up. Float the head up, the shoulders up, and curl up without pulling on the head. Feel the curve of your spine away from the floor, and then roll down one vertebrae at a time till the head comes down and the elbows fall open and you take a moment to relax. Really see if you can differentiate each of the vertebrae from about the brow line and up. So a couple more of these. Inhaling luxuriously, arch the low back into the floor. Press your shoulder blades more firmly into the floor. Exhale, flatten the low back, draw the elbows in towards one another. Tuck the chin and feel the curling of your spine. Through the neck, through the upper spine, maybe towards the brow line. And then curl all the way down, one vertebrae at a time. And if you really take your time, each vertebrae gets a little extra weight-bearing opportunity there, which is good for stimulating the bones. So one more time in your own way, make it as luxurious and as pleasurable a massage for yourself. Try not to pull on the head. Let the muscles of the neck become a little stronger. Just support your head as much as you need to, so that there's still some effort, but without strain. And then as you let your head come down and your arms relax, take a nice deep breath into the belly. Long exhalation out. Let the mind relax. Let the arms relax out to the sides. And just take some kind of movement so it can feel nice to do a bit of a wash rag. Letting the legs fall to the left and to the right. The arms are in T position or in a supportive, symmetrical way out to the sides. And you don't have to think for this one, just really feel. Now we've done a lot of contraction and release, a lot of pandiculation of the large muscles that support your deep core. And now with this easy swaying movement from side to side, we're just bringing the awareness more to the outside line of the body, the lateral line, where the obliques are. So let's roll up onto the left side. And try to make this a smooth and easy transition, like you're just half asleep and you're just rolling over in bed. And we'll come to a perfect sideline position. So just check to see that your shoulders are stacked in your knees and hips and feet are stacked. And your lower legs are brought forward so you can just about see your toes peeking over the horizon. Nice 90-90 position. And you can have your left hand underneath your head to help support your head. I like to just put my hand right under my ear, just so that the arm is acting as a little bit of a prop. We're going to do a bit of a side bend to release any side body tension. So let the top arm rest along your top side. And I'd like you to reach down towards the base of the mat, past your hips, and feel the armpit muscles, either side of the armpit, contract as you reach down, and then relax that arm. So trying to make it less effortful, just to a point of engagement, and have your forearm rest on the pinnacle of the hip. So you're reaching straight down. So again, reach down, feel the subtle engagement of those muscles, and then with that head, the head supported on your left hand, reach down and allow the head to be lifted up as well, ear towards the shoulder, and that arm reaches down your side, contracting the sideline from earlobe all the way down to waistline, and then relax. And you can use that left hand as a prop under your head to help support the head because it's heavy. One more time, turn your face at a different angle, maybe towards the floor or towards the ceiling, and do that same movement, reaching, supporting the head if you need to, feel the contraction, and then feel the release. So what does that have to do with the legs? Well, if your legs, there's some sort of muscular imbalance somewhere through the lower body from the somatic center down, some of these side muscles, the trapezius muscles, serratus muscles, or muscles of the shoulder girdle, are also involved in patterns of compensation. So we're just trying to tick all the boxes. So now let your top arm come to rest on the top side and your head feel supported. I'd like you now, we're going to just do a flapper movement. So you can actually take that top hand to your waistline. And we're going to keep the knees connected and lift the top foot away from the bottom foot. That's an internal rotation for the thigh bone and an upward movement of the pelvic girdle. You feel that? And then slowly, slowly lower it down and completely relax. I'd like you to do that again and just get a sense of the amount of effort involved in doing that, where you felt the work being done, and then relax. Because we're going to do something a little bit different. Always need to change things up, keep you interested. So remember the invert movement and the evert movement. So your feet are now in a neutral position, stacked one on top of another. Imagine that you have a light shining from the center of the sole of your foot, and we're going to turn the sole of the foot in the direction of the ceiling. So it's everting. The feet stay together. We're just moving the foot at the ankle joint. It's not a big movement, so just shine the light up towards the ceiling. And you feel how that activates into the lower shin. So the feet are staying together. And then relax. That ankle bone, the lateral malleolus, goes quite far down compared to the medial one. So it's a small movement. So try this now. So we're going to evert the foot, shine the sole of the foot up towards the ceiling within your comfort zone, and let that movement lead you up into the flapper. So now the rest of the lower leg comes up, hip comes up, and then slowly release down.
What is the lower leg?
The lower, I'll come and help you. And then come to lower down and relax. So I'd like you to put those two movements together where you're leading yourself into this flapper movement starting at the foot. So the first part of the movement is an eversion of the foot, and then the rest of the leg comes up, and then there's that internal rotation of the thigh and the hip. The side of the pelvis goes up. And then relax. So how was the activating from the foot and having the ankle and the lateral line of the shin, how did that affect the ease or effort that it took to do the flapper? And you feel the difference in the hip region. So when you're able to use the entire side seam of the leg from the foot all the way up to the knee, and then from there up, it's a lot less work for the hip. So if you have had an ankle injury, and I discovered this because of my own recent ankle sprain, that because my ankle was sore, all of a sudden my hip started to get sore, and it didn't make sense to me. But if your foot is not able to be a functional part of the movement when you're walking, the hip is going to end up doing a lot more work. So now just do it again with your foot relaxed and just leading as we usually do without the foot, and see, is that experience different? So ankle mobility and functionality and strength is so important to pain-free hips. I think that's so interesting. So now stretch that top leg straight down towards the bottom of the mat. Reach out through your foot triangle. So through the heel, through the ball of the foot, as though you're looking for a wall behind you or below you. And then swing the leg hip height back behind you. Feel how that activates into the glute, into the back of the legs, maybe into the low back, and reach out through the ball of the foot as though you're taking a step and you're going to push off. And then swing the leg forward, bend the knee, top knee, extend the leg out through the heel. You don't have to, if you just swing it forward. So extend the leg out, reach out through the heel, and can you feel how that activates the front of the leg? So this is like walking. So go through that cycle again from neutral, reaching back. It's like you're taking a step and pushing off. Back of the leg, foot is activated, And then you bend the knee to take your step forward. Straighten your foot at the knee, your leg at the knee. Reach out through the heel to take your next step. The front of the leg is activated. And then relax. So it's pretty interesting, I think, that walking, a good balanced gait of walking will do so much for the muscular balance and strength and resiliency of the legs. But should there be an imbalance somewhere along that line, it also has a profound effect. So while we're on this side, I'd like you to explore the clamshell. So make sure your knees are still up nice and high, level of the hips if you can. This time the feet stay together, and just do 2 clamshells as you usually would do, lifting the top knee away from the bottom one, but keeping the pelvis quiet. So the pelvis isn't swinging forward and back. You might bring your top hand back behind your sacrum to make sure that it's not participating. Let the hip and thigh move independently of the pelvis. Feel the work, the effort being done, and then slowly release. So do enough of these so you can really get a sense of what's doing the work and how much effort is being made. And then relax. So now we're going to go down to the foot and think about inverting the foot this time. So we're going to shine the light on the sole of the foot towards the floor. The feet are still stacked one over the other. It's just shining the foot towards the floor, and then lift that knee up. The feet stay together. Coming into clamshell. And then down, the knees come down and the foot relaxes. So just as we did with the flapper movement, we're initiating the movement from the foot. So the feet stay together. I'll talk you through it because we've got a few variations on the theme here. So the knees are together, feet are together. Pause. That top foot is the right foot. So you're going to shine the sole of the right foot towards the floor, and then lift the top knee up and away from the lower knee. And then let the 2 knees come back together and relax the foot. Now make sure that your pelvis isn't swinging forward and back as you do this movement. We're really working on isolating the leg. Sandra's got a nice cramp going on there. Maybe have that movement happen in your mind's eye, because there must be some tightness there to start with.
For sure.
If you find cramping or sensitivity, make it a smaller movement, make it a slower movement, or make it a movement just in your imagination, and then relax. Then let your feet relax, and then do 1 more clamshell, just letting the feet do nothing at all. And how is this experience? The amount of effort in the hip region, how is it different from when you were initiating the movement from the foot? So personally, when I was doing this with my sore foot, there was a huge difference in the amount of effort that my hip didn't have to make when my foot and my ankle was participating. So I really know that if you had an ankle injury, it's so important to have strong and resilient ankles so you don't get hip issues as a result. So let's reach that top, we haven't done the upper body. Oh no, we have on this side. Let's roll over onto the back. And if you feel comfortable extending the legs out along the floor, you can do that. You can also take some other movement, like ankle circles or whatever you need to release any residual tension. And particularly let yourself relax your mind. to let go of mental tension. Not fair to throw all these new things at you first thing on a Monday morning. Let's take a few rounds of the square breath. You don't have to focus too hard on it. See if you can remember the rhythm. Check in, is your forehead relaxed? Is your face relaxed? Are your eyes soft and your jaw soft? And as you're ready, slowly pinky toe slide your feet up one at a time. And before we roll over onto the other side, just maybe do one arch and flatten as a kind of a bookend. So breathing in, arching the low back, away from the floor, exhaling and flattening the low back, flattening the belly, and then roll over onto the other side. So find a nice, perfect sideline position. Check that your pelvis, your knees, and your feet are stacked. Lay your top arm along your top side, support your head with your lower arm. We'll take in a breath and reach with the top arm down and lift your head up as well, ear towards that shoulder. Feel that sideline activate from earlobe to the waistline, and then slowly, slowly release down and let your head be heavy and relax your arms. Do that again, breathing in, luxuriously reaching down, just feeling all of the sensations. Let it be comfortable. And then let it go when you're ready. You might even consider using your square breathing to help you with the amount of time that you take to come into the movement and pause, and then to release the movement, and then take another pause. Another tool for your toolkit. Do one more. Turn your head at a slightly different angle. Little effort as possible. Just really waking up in the morning and then let it go. Completely relax. And then we'll place that left hand into the lower waistline. We'll do just a couple of flapper movements with the foot relaxed. Lift the top foot away from the bottom foot. Feel how that moves that pelvis up towards the armpit. Flapper with the knees together. And then slowly lower down. Pause at the end of the movement. Observe the amount of effort. Where is the effort being made? Is the movement smooth? Or is the movement shaky, jerky? And relax. Completely, just take a breath. Let it go. Take this opportunity in stillness for a moment. Let your awareness drift down to your top foot now, your left foot, and just explore everting the foot in this position. It's a small movement. The sole of the foot is trying to shine up towards the ceiling. The feet stay together. Really let the movement happen at the ankle joint, isolated from the rest of the leg, and then let it go. Where do you feel that? Can you feel it up the outside of your lower leg? Try that one more time within your comfort zone. Doesn't have to be a big movement, it's an activation. And then let it go. And then as you're ready, evert the foot and let that eversion lift, initiate the flapper movement. So the lower leg comes up and along. lifting away from the floor, and how does this feel compared to the first flapper? And then let the leg come back down, relax the foot. If this gives you a cramp, do an ankle circle, or just do the next one in your mind's eye. Just see what that feels like to have the foot participate in moving the leg. And does it feel easier when the foot helps out? Easier on the hip. And then relax. You might like to just relax and then maybe do a little ankle circle to prevent cramping. Then when you're ready, just relax the foot and we'll do a clamshell or two. So quiet pelvis, top knee lifts away from the bottom knee. Pelvis is nice and still. And then slowly lower down. Challenge these pelvic stabilizer muscles to become stronger and more resilient. How much effort is involved when you lead into this movement from the knee? So a couple will usually be enough to give you an impression. You can relax and then take the awareness down to your feet and let that top foot invert so the light shines towards the floor, towards the midline of your body, and then let it go. Just explore. How does that feel? And then lead yourself into clamshell by inverting that top foot and then letting the knee come along. And how much effort is this for your hip this time? Need to overdo it. You can just get the information, and if you want to do another one with just the foot relaxed, you can do that just to really get an impression of how important it is to have supple, strong ankles to reduce the amount of wear and tear and effort that the pelvic girdle has to make for you. And then relax, take a nice deep breath in, clear out any extra tension that you might have accumulated physically and mentally. And then let's roll over onto the back. And take a moment. So having this freedom of movement and this connection of the legs towards the center of the body really will make all the difference in our ability to move, walk. We really need to have that freedom, that connection. So I'd like you now to bend your left knee and stand your left foot on the floor. That's your working leg. So the right leg is on vacation. So I'd like you just to stand into the left foot, to lift the left hip away from the floor a little bit. So you'll roll towards the right side. You can let your arms just rest along your side, but just let the arms be on vacation, let the hip lower down. So just explore that a couple of times. Stand into your left foot, lift the left hip up and away from the floor, allow your pelvis to roll towards the right, and then lower down. Can you sense that lengthening of the left side of the body as you stand into the foot? The left hip lifts up and your pelvis rolls towards the right. How much freedom of movement do you have there? Now let your left hip rest on the floor and Snow Angel sweep your right arm up alongside your ear to a comfortable position, so depending on your comfort zone. Now this time, as you lift your left hip up and away from the floor, can you reach a little longer with that right arm? And you feel that lengthening across the diagonal of your body. And then lower the hip down and relax the arm. So let this just feel like a really organic movement. You're lifting the hip up and away from the floor. That arm slides out along the floor above your head. That nice yawn-like experience from the left knee all the way up to the right fingers. Let's do that once more. That nice cross-lateral yawning, opening up, lengthening the body. And can you press your right shoulder blade into the floor a little more? And then let that go. Now let's let the left leg extend down along the floor, and you can bring your right arm to rest down along your sides, and just get a sense of yourself, that diagonal from the left foot all the way up to the right shoulder. And then let's do the opposite, standing into the right foot this time. And we'll just compare what this is like. So standing into the right foot, letting the pelvis roll towards the left. And then slowly lowering down. Remember, you can use your square breathing if you like. Is it similar experience on this side as compared to the other, or is it quite different? Do you have the same ease of movement? Is this movement ratchety or jittery, or feel really unfamiliar? Do you feel as though you have some restriction in this ability for your leg to lengthen in towards the center of your body? Or is there a liberation of movement there? When you're ready, you can sweep the left arm up alongside, somewhere alongside the ear, but let the floor completely support the arm so the arm doesn't have to do any work. It is just an extension of this lengthening. We'll do that again, so standing into the right foot, letting the pelvis roll towards the left, and that left arm just reaches out, yawn-like, and then extends back in as your hip comes down and you stand back into your foot. Let's do that a couple more times, standing into the foot, letting the whole body yawn open. It's like the arm is telescoping out from your center. Back in. Do one more so that it just feels as effortless as possible. You're just standing into the foot and the rest is just happening naturally. Completely relax. And now stand both feet on the floor. Hug the knees in towards the chest. Take any movement that feels good for you and let your brain relax. You can extend feet up towards the ceiling if you like, and flex the toes back towards the knees. And then extend your feet at the ankles. Pointing your toes, you're coming into a flowing back and forth. Flex and extend. Want those ankles to be really functional. Do they function equally on both sides? And then if you like, you can have your feet pointed up towards the ceiling, invert the feet towards one another. So the knees aren't participating. The knees are nice and still, and then point the soles of your feet towards one another and apart. Can you let the feet and ankles be fully functional as separate from the knees? Because imagine if you have stiff ankles or an injury, how much pressure that puts onto the knee, because the next joint up is going to try to help you out, to give you that extra mobility. The knee is not meant to be a side bender like that. So circle the ankles around. Let go of any tension. All those joints be nice and open and lubricated and strong, supple. And then let's bring the feet back to standing on the floor and separate your feet so that your feet are as wide as your mat. So if you have long legs, your feet might be off of your mat and onto the floor. I'd like you to keep your right knee pointed up towards the ceiling. Now the laser light is shining out of the top of your right kneecap and onto the ceiling. So you don't want the light to be going left and right. That light is just a pinpoint that stays on the ceiling. As you let your foot turn onto it, the left foot turn onto its inside edge, and your left knee drops downwards and inwards towards the right foot, within your comfort zone. And then swing that knee back up again. So the right knee is absolutely stationary, pointed up towards the ceiling. We're isolating the movement of the left leg in an internal rotation now. Swinging it inwards and downwards, and then back up. So always within your comfort zone. Can you feel now the left thigh lengthening out of the waistline towards the outside seam of the leg, and then back to center. So now let's let the left leg be on vacation, shining up through the center of your thigh bone, that laser light up towards the ceiling. And now the right knee swings inwards and downwards, and you're onto the inside edge of your foot. Big toe, side of the foot, and then swing the leg back up. If your other leg gets in the way, separate your feet a little wider so you have more swingability. But just really feel how this internally rotates the thigh, and that big ball and socket bone and that ball and socket relationship of the hip is getting kind of a nice massage in an unusual way. This is not a movement that we really do that much in the course of our everyday life. So a joint that has such a potential for movement as a hip joint, it's important to take it through all of its possible ranges of motion. So then when you've done a few on this side, we'll do an integration. We'll alternate sides. So one leg is stationary, the other leg drops inwards and downwards. And then that leg swings up, pause, and then you switch sides. Now, as you find your rhythm of movement, is there any desire for your head to also want to turn from side to side? So try to let that happen if it wants to. Only as many of these as feels good for you. And then when you're done, you can relax. So can you feel how this yawns the outside seam towards the front of the leg? So into maybe more of one of the IT band and the more lateral of the quadricep muscles. So then let your feet come to stand, and the pelvis is nice and steady, and bring your feet back to hips width apart. We're going to now lengthen into one of the more central of the quadricep muscles, and this movement is to help keep the kneecap tracking in a nice straight way, so the muscle is balanced. So choose a leg and stand into that foot, and then project your knee over that same side foot as though you could cast a shadow with your knee over the foot. So the knee moves straight down towards the base of the mat over that foot, and then slowly come back to let your pelvis relax. So feet are hips width apart, and then let that one knee project straight down towards the base of the mat. Feel the front of your thigh lengthen and release. And does that side hip also want to lift away from the floor?
Shoulder.
Yeah. Sometimes you find that there's a connection in a movement somewhere else in the body. You feel that right down the center of the front of the thigh. So when you've had a few of these, you can do the same on the other side. Feet are hips width apart. They're not wide to the mat. Stand into the other foot and lengthen that quad. You feel that side of the hip rolling up and away if you have some liberation of movement there. And again, if your head wants to move, you can let it move. Let this movement of the foot translate into some kind of effect into the upper body. And then let that go, and we're going to just take, maybe hug the knees in towards the chest, take some movement, maybe circling the pelvis, whatever rings your bell and floats your boat and feels good. Carol noticed that what she was doing, standing into the feet, was affecting her shoulder. So the upper and the lower body, they do have a strong influence on one another. So if you have shoulder issues, I would be really careful about trying to rebalance the pelvic and leg region as well, because sometimes the injury that you have is going to have a global influence. So let's cross the left thigh over the right thigh. The arms are out to the side, so have the thighs one on top of another, so there's no space between the thighs. Let your shoulder girdle be supportive. And I'd like you now to lower your legs over towards the left side within your comfort zone, maybe halfway. Let your head roll to the right, and then slowly come back to center. And pause and relax. And you can use your 4 count if you like, or a 2 count, square breathing if that feels better. And again, when you're ready, the legs go to the left. Can you feel how the left waistline is contracting, the right side is lengthening? And then back to center. Just do that maybe 4 times. Try to get that global awareness of the left side contracting as the legs go to the left, right side is lengthening, maybe all the way up to your right hand. Back to center. When you've done maybe 4 of these, and you can appreciate the yawn-like sensation and the strength of the contraction, Uncross your legs and stand your feet on the floor. Coming back to neutral pelvis. And then bring your arms up so that your palms are together straight up over your face. So steeple position. Hands are right over your shoulders. So you're going to dive up into the ceiling. So I'd like you to fold your third, fourth, and fifth fingers, and so your index finger and your thumb is pointed up towards the ceiling. So steeple position. So glue your fingers, your hands together, and I'd like you to sway your arms over towards the right. Follow the movement of your hands with your gaze and allow your torso to roll towards the right side. From the waist, the legs, feet are still standing, and then back up to center. So the pelvis stays still, the knees point up to the ceiling, and we do that again on the exhalation. Let the hands and the arms go to the right, within your comfort zone, just moving from the waistline and up, and then back. Maybe 3 times. Let that face follow the hands. Keep the elbows straight, the hands glued. Back to center. So do 3 or 4. Really let this rotational movement come. So now you're feeling the yawn-like sensation up the left side, and you may notice some contraction along the right side, and then let that go. Relax your arms down along your sides. Take a nice deep breath into the belly. Long exhalation out through the mouth. And we'll cross the left leg over the right one again. Every single person. See, I fooled every single person in the class. Nice to be unpredictable. So take your arms out to shoulder height, so if you have that stability, and we'll repeat maybe 3 times, letting the legs go down to the left. Is there any difference in the feeling of liberation so that your legs move more freely as compared to the first time? So sometimes you can sense it, sometimes you can't. But if you notice some extra freedom of movement after working with your upper body, then perhaps that's an area of that to take notice of. Because the 2 sides, the 2 ends of the body do work together. And then relax and extend your legs out along the floor. Relax your arms. Shift your awareness into witness consciousness and just notice how you feel from the inside. Is there any difference in the left side of the body compared to the right side? When you're ready, we'll do that steeple twist series on the other side. So you're going to cross your right thigh over your left one this time. Arms are in a position so you have stability through your upper body, so you can differentiate the movement of the pelvis from the shoulder girdle. So arms are in T position, away from your body, shoulder blades are your stability. And as you're ready, let your legs sway over to the right side. Head can turn to the left. Within your comfort zone, without stretching, back to center. Letting the pelvis roll. Notice the right waistline contracting, the left waistline lengthening. Back. And if you let your head join the party, the left waistline lengthens and the right side of the neck lengthens. Find all of those interrelationships. As the legs go to the right waistline contracts and the left side of the neck lengthens. And then come back to neutral. Uncross the legs, stand your feet, bring the hands up to steeple position, Velcro your hands together, keep your elbows straight so this movement translates into movement directly to the rib cage, and this time the hands go over towards the left side. Allow your rib cage to roll. The face follows the thumbs, the nose follows the thumbs, and then back to center. Just letting your arms move to the side, elbows straight, let the head roll. So can you feel now that as your arms go to the left waistline contracts, left side of the neck contracts, right side is all lengthening. Do 4, maybe all together, so you can really get the global influence of this movement all the way down to your waistline, nice quiet pelvis. And then let it go. This is a really good movement series if you work on a computer a lot, to find that nice balanced rotation of the rib cage, or if you do some sort of activities that are one-sided, like tennis or golf or writing or painting or something. And then recross the legs, right thigh over the left one, arms are out to the side so you have stability of the shoulder girdle, and you can isolate the movement of the pelvis from the waistline down. So a few times, letting the legs go to the right, same side, legs to the right, head rolls to the left, back to center, legs go to the right, right waistline contracts, left side of the neck contracts. And is this experience of rotation through the pelvis different from the first set that you did? Just a nice, luxurious movement. These are all movements that will hopefully facilitate your ability to walk with relative ease and grace. Letting that somatic center have a release of tension so that the rib cage can rotate in an isolated way from the pelvic girdle. So you can just let that go. Hug your knees up towards your chest, and any movement that agrees with you. So I like to end the class in Soma Scan, but maybe lying on the belly if that works for you, or on your side. Whatever is more comfortable for you. And take a very yin attitude here. Letting the eyes soften, letting the brain relax. Letting the jaw relax. Bring the awareness to your breath. do a few rounds of the square breathing here, whatever proportion feels nice for you. In whichever position you've chosen, can you send the inhalation into the back of the body, into the back lower ribs? In traditional Chinese medicine, this area of the body, the seat of the kidneys, is where our life force resides. So just take a few more breaths. Let it be as much as an idea as an effort, and just imagine this part of your body just being infused with energy, with life force. It's nourishment for your energy body. And then let go of all effort and just give yourself a minute or two to just be. Nothing to do, nothing to change. Now just let an internal smile settle into your face, to your neck, to your shoulders and your arms, to your spine, to all of the soft tissues of your torso, to the pelvis and to the hips. The legs, and send a wave of gratitude all the way down to each of the legs and the feet and the toes. And send a wave of gratitude all the way down the shoulders and the arms, the wrists and the hands and the fingertips. One more big wave washing down the whole of your soma. An experience of yourself from the inside. And then slowly bend your knees up if you're lying on your belly, and just bring a little bit of movement. Invite a little movement into your legs. And as you're ready, prepare to come up to kneeling. And prepare for coming up to a higher elevation. So however that works for you, I really looking forward to a little downward dog stretch. Very slowly come into full standing position. Roll the shoulders, back and down. And then pause, one shoulder back, one shoulder forward. The shoulder that's forward, take the opposite hip back. Second, is that working?
Crack, crack.
Thank you so much for your attention and your presence. I so appreciate you all here.